Hi everyone, my name is Ksenia, and if you're here, you're probably interested in sustainability, zero waste, minimalism, and mental health. Today I'm serving this boss babe look with glasses, and I'm honestly already in a festive mood. What about you? However, the topic of this video is not related to festivities yet, but to something that I consider very important, which is minimalism. If you've been following me for a while, you probably watched a lot of videos dedicated to this. And most importantly, how I got to be a minimalism, my story, what minimalism is for me, and how to mindfully declutter. I'm going to link these videos in the description below. What is minimalism for me? To make a long story short, it's mostly about simplicity and intentionality. I want things that surround me to be mostly utilitarian, to be aesthetic, but also utilitarian. I don't have things just to look at most of the time, unless they are plants, but then they also serve a purpose. And then secondly, I very consciously surround myself with things. The inspiration for this video was actually a TikTok that I watched recently. Let me see if I can find it, but in short, author was complaining that when minimalism became trendy 10-20 years ago, they decluttered everything, got rid of the high quality items that they had in order to get to some kind of goal. And then the clothes that they repurposed was not good anymore. So not as good quality.
I feel like the biggest con of the last 10 to 15 years of the minimalism movement is to get rid of everything or have this capsule wardrobe. But I'm seeing so many videos now about just how crap all of the clothing is and how you're paying these exorbitant prices for plastic. But I feel like the biggest chump right now because, I look at my clothes now and everything is just like plasticky and expensive. Like I'm paying double, triple the price at Target for a t-shirt. Then I look at like my old ratty t-shirts that also came from Target maybe even 10 years ago, the stuff that I've just your knock around home t-shirts, and they're better quality. They actually are cotton. They still haven't fallen apart. They're 10 years old. And I'm sitting here so flabbergasted and annoyed beyond belief that I listened to the trend, the popular capsule wardrobe, just get rid of it all. You can just go buy it back. And this is what, in a nutshell, of a lot of what I say, that minimalism is a trend. And the more that you come to understand what you need from your home to thrive and to step into your next journey, to manifest, to get to that next level, has absolutely nothing to do with the number of possessions in your home, that it's been a huge lie this entire time to just get you to consume more.
I obviously got interested in this point of view because for me, minimalism was never about following a trend or getting rid of your stuff to buy new one. I think that's inherently mistaken. My comment was mostly about the fact that minimalism is about quality over quantity. So decluttering stuff that's good, really high quality items, is wrong. And that's why I wanted to share the regular exercise I do when decluttering on the example of my wardrobe and my bookshelf, just to show how I navigate the decluttering process and how I make choices. If you follow me for a while or took a look at my page, you've already seen that I often share my wardrobe audits with you, going with item one by one. This year I decided not to do it because you've already seen my wardrobe mostly in the video I shared in the spring So I'm going to just explain how the decluttering process goes in my head. I took an audit of the items and saw which are new, which were secondhand and thrifted or gifted, and which ones I've never worn, which I think is zero at this point. So since I'm very intentional in building my wardrobe, especially for the past couple of years since I've gained weight and changed my style, I barely ever declutter things that are new. Most of the times I do get rid of the items if I don't wear them enough. So I don't really have a system where I have an item hanging which I've never worn at all. But because I wear clothing a lot, even if I use gentle care, it still wears out. And that's why most of the items that I got rid of are just worn out. And I sometimes even preserve things that are with holes to repair them. Sometimes it's just not worth it. For example, I also decluttered socks that don't have a pair and I couldn't find anything similar to them. And then I also got rid of items that are stained and cannot be worn for renovation and things like that. Or when the item wears out so thin that I cannot possibly repair it anymore. I would not recommend donating them because no one would select them. This is just waste. So I would recommend cutting them up into rags or just tossing them away. Most of the items, unless they are 100% cotton and 100% linen or hemp, are not compostable, because usually the items have a little bit of elastane added. So for example, it could be 98% cotton and 2% elastane. It's a mixed fabric and elastane is synthetic, so it's not going to decompose even if you compost it. So consider that if you were planning to compost your clothing, which is also possible. I think a lot of people say that they could never be minimalist because they just love reading paper books so much and they could never get rid of their collection. And I think it's valid. Like I said in my video about overconsumption core, I don't think that collecting things is inherently wrong per se. So having a library is great. My partner has a library mostly for the books that he uses for his business or education. When I had to move several times, I realized that books are way too heavy to carry with me, so I do have a small selection of my favorite books and authors. For example, Antoine Saint-Exupéry, My Little Prince, and Jonathan Safran Foer, Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close. These books have traveled with me through countries, but all the rest I have accumulated only when living here. And what I often do is I borrow books from the library or buy them secondhand and then return them, put them in a neighborhood library or a bin for books at the secondhand store. And now that it comes to the question of storing books, it's mostly preference and a taste question. I prefer that the books are stacked by size rather than by series, although of course if you have books from one series, they do look nice together. Ideally, if it were up to me, I would store books with the spine backward, with the spine facing away so that you can only see plain space, so that it's visually cohesive. However, My partner doesn't like it because it makes it difficult to find books, which I agree. It's just that with me, of course, having reread most of my books multiple times, I know exactly how they look like, so I can navigate easily. But if you have a lot of books like he does, you probably need to see their names. So we did used to have the books facing outside in a previous house we lived in, but I had to compromise and turn them around the right way. Why is decluttering important, and is it even necessary? So first of all, you don't have to be a minimalist to declutter. That's what I believe. And secondly, I think that accumulating things throughout your lifetime is completely normal, but so is getting rid of them, and if it's done in a sustainable manner. I talk about how to sustainably declutter in my mindful decluttering video, but just to give you a short gist, you should consider using up the items, recycling, repurposing them in either way, or selling them and donating them before you throw away, obviously. And this is why it irked me so much with the video of the TikTok creator, that they felt that, okay, I'm just getting rid of everything and then buying everything new. That's a trap. It sounds that capitalists created this trend, and so that you just keep buying new stuff and then decluttering it. I think that minimalism is not a trend, and if it hasn't resonated with you, maybe it's not for you. But if it has, don't treat it as something that's mandatory or something that is set in stone. I don't subscribe to all these concepts like, 5 must-have things in your wardrobe, 5 must-have things for the kitchen. All these Amazon must-haves is just a way to sell you stuff. Of course, maybe a white t-shirt is a staple in your wardrobe, but guess what? It's not in mine. White t-shirts are so impractical unless they are really, really high quality, like over 150 euros. They get yellow very quickly, they get grayish, and I am now gravitating more towards dresses anyway. So a white t-shirt, even if it's a minimalist staple, doesn't work for me. I think that minimalism has to be individual, has to be internalized as a philosophy before you start getting rid of things. If, for example, some of these creators who make overconsumption core videos realize one day they have way too many shower gels, well, I'm not going to tell them to toss them away. I would say, of course, if they are unopened, give them as a gift, like make a care basket. And then stuff that is open, because you've used it a couple of times, just use it up. Maybe it will take you a year, maybe take you 3 years, but just use it up, and then not buy new stuff, and then when you realize what's your favorite and what you actually really, really cannot live without, then keep buying it, but also not in crazy quantities. Decluttering and letting go of some things that cannot be fixed or no longer serve a purpose is also a way of self-care for me, and it's of course beneficial for my mental health. And I think that now is the time that most of us need to take better care of ourselves and our mental health. So thanks for joining me in this video. Let me know if you decluttered anything lately, and if you need more tips about mindful consumption and minimalism. Check out more content that I've shared earlier on my channel about sustainability, zero waste, minimalism, and decluttering. And as all YouTubers and vloggers are supposed to say, please like this video, push the bell notification button, and subscribe. Bye!